الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. ما بعد. This faida from the book is with the title وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. You might hate something and it's good for you. يقول قوله تعالى كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. وقوله عز وجل فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. فالآية الأولى في الجهاد الذي هو كمال القوة الغضبية خشية على نفسه منه، والثانية في النكاح الذي هو كمال القوة الشهوانية. فالعبد يكره مواجهة عدوه بقوته الغضبية خشية على نفسه منه، وهذا المكروه خير له في معاشه ومعاده. ويحب الموادعة والمتاركة، وهذا المحبوب شر له في معاشه ومعاده. وكذلك يكره المرأة لوصف من أوصافها وله في إمساكها خير كثير لا يعرف. ويحب المرأة لوصف من أوصافها وله في إمساكها شر كثير لا يعرفه. فالإنسان كما وصفه به خالقه ظلوم جهول، فلا ينبغي أن يجعل المعيار على ما يضره وينفعه ميله وحبه ونفرته وبغضه، بل المعيار على ذلك ما اختاره الله له بأمره ونهيه. فأنفع الأشياء له على الإطلاق طاعة ربه بظاهره وباطنه، وأضر الأشياء عليه على الإطلاق معصيته بظاهره وباطنه. Then he says some stuff after that. فعامة مصالح النفوس في مكروهاتها كما أن عامة مضارها وأسباب هلكتها في محبوباتها. As I said, the title وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. You might hate something that is good for you, and the opposite of that is right as well. And عسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم. And you might like something and it's bad for you. He mentioned two ayahs in the book of Allah that talk about this idea. The first ayah from Al-Baqarah, he says يعني كتب عليكم القتال. Allah says قتال يعني الجهاد, fighting, the combative aspect, the fighting part of al-jihad was prescribed on you وهو كره لكم. And it's something that no one likes. No one likes to fight because he puts himself at the risk of losing his life. That is the fitrah. That is the natural way that Allah created us, that we love to live. And anything that put us at the risk of death or getting killed, we're scared of and we run away from. So Allah says, fighting prescribed on you or to you, and even though you hate it, then Allah says, and maybe you'll hate something that is good for you, and maybe you love something that is bad for you, and Allah knows and you don't know. The other ayah from An-Nisa, Allah says regarding the relationship between a husband and wife, Allah says فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And if you don't like them, if you dislike them, يعني the wives, then maybe you will hate something or dislike something, and Allah puts too much good in it. Fine. He says the first ayah fil jihad, and it's talking mainly about the anger part of the human, the angry side. Okay, that power of anger and power of fearing to lose one's life. The second ayah about the wife, it talks about that desire the power of desires, to fulfill one's desires. Then he said, فالعبد يكره مواجهة عدوه بقوته الغضبية خشية على نفسه منه. So the servant, from this ayah, the servant hates to face the enemy because he is scared for his life. That is natural. Then he says, and this thing that he hates, which is facing the enemy, is better for him in his life, in this dunya and in the hereafter. When he faces this enemy, even though he hates it, but we know it's better for him in the dunya and in the hereafter. If he lives after the encounter, he lives honored and victorious. And if he dies shaheed. Even though he knows this is the result, either honor and victory or shahada, still hates. And with that, and he says, وَيُحِبُّ الْمُوَادَعَ وَالْمُتَارَكَ, and he enjoys and he loves peace, and no need for encounter. Peace. We're fine together. And he says, وَهَذَا الْمَحْبُوبُ شَرٌّ لَهُ فِي مَعَاشِهِ وَمَعَادِهِ. Even he knows that such brings him misery. Such peace will make him compromise. So it's bad for him in the dunya, and it's but he still. And he says about the woman, he hates the woman for character or some of her characters, and for holding her there's a lot of benefit for him, but yet he still hates her because he does not like 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 from her characters, but holding her brings so much benefit for him. ويحب المرأة لوصف من أوصافها وله في إمساكها شر كثير لا يعلم. And he loves to hold some women. Maybe he loves the beauty, maybe he loves her wealth, maybe he loves what she has, maybe whatever. So he loves a woman for a character of hers, and he knows that holding her will bring him shar and bad omen. So what he's trying to do, or to say, the message he's trying to deliver is exactly what the ayah said. You know that something overall isn't good for you, but for certain things in it, you love it. But the main thing, it's not good for you. And you know something that overall is beneficial to you, but because of certain aspects of it, you decide to hate it. Just like you decide to hate to fight, even though it's going to bring you honor, and bring you wealth, or it brings you shaitan. The same thing with them. So he says, so how we decide? Yani the question becomes, if what I see good for me, it's boiling down to be bad, and what I think is bad for me is boiling down to be good. So how am I going to decide? Okay? So he says, فأنفع الأشياء له على الإطلاق طاعة ربه بظاهره وباطنه. So the best thing for him is to obey his Lord in the secret and in the outside or the public. وأضل الأشياء عليه على الإطلاق معصيته بظاهره وباطنه. And the worst thing for him is the opposite. So with these things you're confident, you're sure. With these things you're not يعني maybe I like it but it's not good for me. See, you want to marry a woman, you go, you talk to her, whatever, you like her. So you come to ask me, I say, make istikhara. You go, you make istikhara. Why? Because you don't know. But inside your heart you say, this woman is good for him. Because you're in love with her. You like what she had to offer. You like her characters. You like the way she talks. You like the way she you don't know if she's going to be good for you. Right? The same thing with business. You want to do a certain kind of business. You want to go into a business. You want to open a store. You want to open a restaurant. Open whatever it is. You say, يعني the odds are going to be well, but there is a chance it's going to be bad. The same thing with the opposite way. Okay? You might think doing something is bad. Okay? I do this, I know this is a failure. But there's a chance it's going to be good. Okay? So with these things, you're not sure. And you cannot stamp and give 100% guarantee. That's why it's haram in Islam when you do business, let's say musharaka. It's haram to give the money and say, I want a profit this amount. Why? Because he cannot guarantee for you this amount. Because he doesn't know how the business is going to go. But the main reason he's going into this kind of business, because of his experience, because of the odds, because he knows this is the market, because he knows they can make it. But still haram for him to guarantee for you an amount of profit. Because you don't know. And this is exactly what banks do. You put your money in a CD, you put your money in a account, and they guarantee for you 3%, for example, APR. It's guaranteed. That's what makes it haram. So if the bank loses, you still get your 3%. And if the bank makes a lot of profit, you still get 3%. That's why such business is haram. Okay? However, now 3%, not of the profit. The bank does not tell you 3% of the profit. He tells you 3% of what you're putting. 3% of a known amount is a known amount. So just doing it in a percentage or specific amount. If I'm putting $100 and he tells me, we're going to give you profit 3%. So you can say, yeah, they did not say a number. You said it's a number. They're giving me a percentage. Percentage of $100, $3. So we already know from the beginning. But if they tell you 3% of the profit that we're going to make, then that is fine. You don't know what the profit is going to be. 3% of something not known is not known. So that is fine. But if I come and you ask me, can you invest with me? I say yes. How much? 5,000. Here's 5,000. How much you going to give me back? Okay? I'll guarantee for you $500. I say haram. Haram. But he can tell me, it seems that I expect our profits to be this. I give you 10%, for example. Okay? Halas. 10% of the profit. That is fine. To say here is there are things you do in life, business, and kids, studies, whatever. You think you like to do it, but there is the chance that it might not be the right decision. And vice versa. You don't want to do it, but you still think, I wish if I invested it. But you're iffy. Choose not to. Later on, when you find out that they made some profit, you say, right? So here Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah says, I will tell you what you will be sure about. That is good. And you will be sure about that is bad. So what is that? Obedience of Allah, be 100% sure that it's something you should love. Disobedience of Allah, you should be 100% sure that's something you hate. There is no chance that maybe it's good. Then he said, فعامة مصالح النفوس في مكروهاتها. And this is from the mental point. كما يقول تضرب على الوتر. عامة مصالح النفوس في مكروهاتها. Most of benefits for the soul in what the souls hate. Most of your benefit will be in what you hate. وعامة مضارها وأسباب هلكتها في تباهها. And most of the things that this self, this nafs that Allah had given us, most of the things it loves will lead. This is this is serious. He gives you an example. He said, look at a farmer. He plants a tree and he's always taking care of it. So when there are too many branches that are dead, he cuts them. When there are too many leaves, he has to cut some of the leaves so the sun can reach the fruit, so it can ripe. Sometimes he will not give enough water because of his experience that this will do and this will do that. And sometimes will drown with water. It's just on the experience and what's his, whatever. And all these things that he's doing, and he said, فانظر إلى غارة جنة من كثير بالفلاح غارة جنة وتعادل السقي والإصلاح حتى أثمرت أشجاره فأقبل عليها يفصل أوصالها يفصل أوصالها ويقطع أغصانها لعلمه أنها لو كنت تطب ثمرتها فيطعمها شجرة طيبة الثمر حتى يوصلت بها والتحمت وأعطت ثمرتها أقبل ويقطع أغصانها الضعيفة التي تذهب قوتها ويذيقها ألم القطع والحديد لمصلحتها وكمالها. يعني what he's saying, when he goes and he cuts these dead branches, he removes these green leaves, because the goal of planting, the goal of putting a tree, and all these things he's doing, that the way maybe he will plant it somewhere away from the other trees, so you're going to be lonely. Huh? It's better because it's ground with minerals. He will cut, he will drown, he will do this, he will remove. Huh? And all that looks like torture. But the point, the goal, he's doing all this to get the sweet fruit. And without doing that, he will not. If he said, for example, if he said, no, this plant or this tree from the creation of Allah, I'm not going to harm this tree. So he says, no branch to be cut, no leaves to be removed, no drowning, no drying, no droughting. It's going to be sour or bitter. Of course, farmers know their business. So the point is, he says at the end, فلو أنها ذات تمييز وإدراك كالحيوان. He says, after all this process, if this tree had the ability to comprehend like a human being, like an animal, لتوهمت أن ذلك إفساد لها وإضرار. You could imagine this tree, if it would have, if it had any intuition or any kind of capability to think, would have thought when this man, this farmer comes to cut one of its arms, it's bad for him. Would have imagined when this guy drowns her, it's bad for him. وَإِنَّمَا هُوَ عَيْنُ مَصْلَحَتِ. But in reality, it's absolute benefit for the tree. So the bottom line takes you to the same point, that a lot of things you see in the world, and you think that you love them, and you think they're good for you. But actually, most of these things will take you downhill. That is the reality. Okay? And that's why, as they said, كُلُّ مَمْنُوعٍ مَرْغُوب. Everything that Allah made haram is desired. Desired. Looking at women is haram. Men desire that. Okay? Making money. The man desires that, whether it's halal or haram. Wasting time, enjoying, talking about people. It's a pleasure. People enjoy backbiting. Right? People enjoy slandering and talking bad about this guy and talking about what you know what he did and you know what he didn't. All that backbiting, even if it's truth. You always hear the brothers, no brother, we're just saying the truth. Well, that is backbiting. What did you think backbiting? Okay? As the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked, we talk about someone, that something he has, something he possesses, a character, we're not lying. He said this is backbiting. And if you would lie, it's slandering, buhtan. But the human being, the nature, enjoys it. Even though there is destruction for it. It loves it, but there is destruction in it. Okay? not to look and to control your eyes and to lower your gaze, something your soul does not like. But once you continue in doing that, you will see tranquility and peace in your heart. And it's pleasurable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, وَكَذَلِكَ الْأَبُ الشَّفِيقُ عَلَى وَلَدِهِ الْعَالِمُ بِمَصْلَحَتِهِ. He gives you another analogy. إذا رأى مصلحته في إخراج الدم الفاسد عنه قطع جلده وقطع عروقه وأذاقه الألم الشديد. He gives you, it's also similar to a father who's concerned about his son. He loves his son. Okay, he will do anything for his son. But if he knows that this son is sick and there is bad blood, يعني maybe he's referring to cupping, hijama يعني. If he sees that there is treatment in hijama, he might cut his son and take that blood out, and that is painful. But because he knows it's beneficial for his son. وإن رأى شفاءه في قطع عضو من أعضائه أبانه عنه يعني قطع. And if he thinks, يعني he sees his son that he loves, he sees that there is a gangrene in his arm, and the father is told that this gangrene will spread until it kills your son. It will be the father, maybe the first one, when if they do it, he will be the one to cut the arm of his son. The son will look at that. Or the father will hold money from his son because he knows giving him money will harm him. He will spend it in the wrong way. He's after this, after that. The son looks at it and thinks it's harmful to him. It's not fair. No, this is not fair. Okay? Which takes us to the same point. He might look at something that he does not like or he hates, and he thinks it's harmful to him, but in reality brings benefit. That is life. A lot of things that we look at and we think it's gonna be, we love, a lot of things we love are actually harmful to us. And a lot of things we try to stay away from or we hate, يعني they're tough. You see, when you wake up for Fajr, for example, your body, jubila, and the instinct of your body is comfort. Your body loves comfort, loves the warm bed, loves relaxing, loves sleeping. But you take it from the thing that wants to the suffering. You get up, your body's tired, you make wudu, maybe the water is cold and the weather is too cold outside, this and that. These things you hate. But you do it because Allah has guided you that this is good for you. So when you're confused after all these examples, you know what's good for you is what Allah chose for you. That's it. Then you will be comfortable that you're making the right decision. Okay? And that is what he's trying to tell us, rahimahullah. So you can see contradiction between the needs of the soul and the needs of the body. Okay? The needs of the soul and the needs of the body. The body wants to look. The soul does not want that. At the haram. The soul does not want. The body wants to eat and continue eating. The soul gets sick from too much eating. The body wants to rest and sleep too much. The soul does not want that because it knows that it's benefit in not sleeping. It's benefit in obeying. It's benefit in praying. So you can see this contradiction. And that is what Allah created. Contradiction between what your soul desires and what your body and self desires. The difference between those two things is Al-Jannah. The difference between those contradictions is Al-Jannah. You want Al-Jannah? You have to understand those two contradictions and you have to live with them. Part of you tells you, look. The other part says, don't look. Part of you tells you, steal. The other part says, don't. The other part says, sleep through Fajr. The other says, no, you don't sleep. So you're living in this struggle. Once you take yourself beyond that, that is Jannah. Once you manage to get over that, that is Jannah for sure. النفس أمرت أن تنفق المال وطبع الإنسان يقتضي أن يأخذ المال. Huh? Your desire, one side tells you you love to take money, collect money. The other part says give, zakah, sadaqah. Okay? So it's all these contradiction. So you have maylun hissi wa maylun aqli. Now we take us at different level. You have emotional inclination and you have intuitional inclination, intelligence inclination. Emotional obviously will take you to do what's not good for you. Don't they say he thinks with his emotions, with his feelings. People who thinks and react because of their feelings, most of the time the actions or the decisions they make are wrong. Most of the time. Okay? So he knows, once he understands the difference, he knows what's right because his mind tells him this is right. Okay? Logically, now let's put the orders of Allah and all that. Logically, you know it's better not to eat too much. Logically. But emotionally, you eat too much. It's delicious. Right? This food is good. So you continue to eat, even though you know it's hard. It's like a doctor. A doctor, let's say a heart surgeon, who's always operating, opening blocked blood vessels, blocked arteries, this and that, hearts that are full of fat and all that. So they bring him very, very fancy, delicious meal. Let's say that's delicious, cooked very well done. Okay? But he knows there's too much fat in it. So he says, I love this food so much. I would love to eat it. But going back to his mind and to what he sees when he operates, he says, but I'm not going to eat it. Too much fat that I don't want to happen to me what happened to those people. So if he would have let his emotions and his feelings and his desires make the decision, he would eat it. And that's what most of the people do. But when he used his mind, obviously he chose not to eat it. And that is what we want to do. We want to use more of our minds than our desires. Because your mind, you base your decisions on the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with your mind comes, my emotions and my desire says, stay sleeping. You have to work. Why are you going to wake up now? And it's going to take me 45 minutes to get to the masjid, then another 45 minutes to come back. This is an hour and a half I can sleep because I have to work. That's desires. But being intelligent and thinking with your head, you say, but the prophets, I remember the Prophet said, بشر المشائين بالظلمات إلى المساجد بالنور التام يوم القيامة. Give the good news and the good tidings to those who walk to the houses of Allah in the darkness or in the dark. Give them the news of the full light on the day of judgment. So you start thinking. Now you're using your logic. طيب work. You know what? Even if I did not sleep for 1 minute, I'm still gonna go to work. You have choice? You have to go to work. Okay? On the other hand, if I don't go to pray, because I can't sleep an hour and a half more, I will lose on this promise. So your mind will tell you, wake up and go. So once you put your intelligence over your desires, you win. And over all that, you put the wahy. The wahy and the guidance of Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So you want to be a hero? Think with your brain, don't think with your emotions. Okay? Make decisions benefiting you? What is the benefit? What is more beneficial to me? To stay sleeping hour and a half, or to get that light on the day of judgment? That's if you value the hereafter. If you don't value what I'm talking about, the dalil and the hadith, all this, yeah, it does not matter. You would choose the hour and a half. But once you value it, then you're going to push yourself, and Allah will give the help and the strength to do all. You have يعني, you have sabr, you have fitra, and you have sabr. Sibra, fitra, sabr. Tab' is what you do. Tab' is who you are. Fitra is what Allah puts in you. Okay? Allah puts in you to love, to be generous. But some people choose to be generous, some people don't. Allah puts the fitra in your heart to do good. Some people do good and some people do harm. Okay? وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَّا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So you choose. The fitra is in there for every human being. But then you choose, and that is the problem. Whatever you decide to do, that becomes your fitra. That becomes you, who you are, your behavior, your attitude. And then there is a sibra, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ صِبْغًا. That is a different level where you become, your tab' become connected with Allah. Okay? Your tab' and your behavior becomes connected completely with Allah. That is called sabr. Okay? Because sabr يعني من الصبر. Sabr is to die. You have died with the love of Allah. You have died your soul with the love of Allah. So that is the level that we try to see. So يعني to finish this, according to fitra and al-aada, tabr and sibgha, each one of us is programmed. If we want to use computer language, each one of us here programmed. Allah programmed each one of us, created us in specific way. Once we decide to go against this programming, that is when we become stressed. Okay? Any computer, it has a program, and you try to do something else with the program, any words. If it doesn't have Arabic, you try to write in Arabic, what comes with the screen? Verbiage. You don't understand anything. Right? And sometimes it might freeze and the goes dead. That is stress and ka'aba and depression is really the #1 disease in the world. More than 60% of people in America are depressed. Alright? Why? Because once you go against the way Allah created you, common sense. Allah says you need to take this way and you take that way. So you are yourself is doing this way and you snatch it this way. Depressed. Okay? So that is why the guidance of Allah is the solution. Because some people tell you the ways to Allah is the number of the people, the number of breaths of the people. That. And there are too many ways to get to Allah. No, there is one way. And then they start breaking it down, this and that. You can be a farmer and this. No, that's not what it means. We're talking about farmer and doctor and soldier and this and woman and man, and how they're going to get to Allah. There got to be one way. You cannot develop one way for each one. Customize it. That is the guidance of Allah. Once you go with that, the guidance that Allah sent with Muhammad ﷺ is what really matches and suitable with the fitrah that Allah created and programmed you with. So once you take that and you try to fit it in your body, that's when it works. Take a program decide for Windows and put it on Mac. You get Macintosh. what you're gonna get? It won't work. Right? It won't work. Right? Unless here, cell phone will have tricks for anything. Yeah? That is the way. You try to download a program, it tells you, is it for Windows or for even Windows itself? It has to be for me and you and him and her and me. Right? The same thing. Allah created us with fitrah and He sent the guidance. So this guidance, this fitrah and this guidance, they have to be suitable. They have to be compatible. When they're not, sometimes if you get another guidance, it might fit somewhere here and there, but not complete. That's why you start doing these short circuits, confusion. That leads to depression. But when you have perfect fit, if you have a small spot in your kitchen and you want to put a fridge, you go by the fridge, and now you get to push the fridge, it doesn't go through. There's maybe 1 inch. There's no way you can fit it in. You can't. You're gonna mess up the sink. All right? What happens to you? Depressed. So imagine when it has to do with your heart and your soul. So the guidance is the guidance of Muhammad ﷺ for happiness. The key for happiness is the guidance of Muhammad ﷺ. وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. يعني that's why the Prophet ﷺ, with his beginning in the speeches and the khutab, that is what he talks about. خَيْرَ الْهَدِي هَدْيُ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم. He did not say that and repeat that from air. Telling you, we're going to sit, I'm going to give you a khutbah today. But if the khutbah is not according to the guidance of Muhammad, it's useless. Some people, يعني, mashallah, they stand to give the khutbah and they decide to take this responsibility. Throughout the khutbah, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you don't hear one ayah or one hadith. This khutbah, most probably trash. Because what is he telling you? It's either the news he's reading, or his own intellect, or his own intelligence, or his own opinions. You want to value a khutbah? See how many ayat and how many hadith mentioned in it. Because you know, again, it will take you to the first point I mentioned tonight. When you hear someone giving the khutbah for 30 or 45 minutes and all he says, talk and talk and talk, no hadith, no ayah, you might want to credit him and say, يعني, they did not put him unless they trust him, but there's a chance that he's wrong. Because it's all his own talk. But the more ayat and the more hadith, that chance is out. Yeah, this is good. Maybe he's not very orator and very eloquent and all that, but the hadith and the ayah is better than anything. Better than someone coming and screaming at the top of his lung, and getting people to cry, and this without hadith, without ayah. Alright? So that is what we say. Guidance of Muhammad is the secret for happiness. Secret for happiness. والمنصفون يكتفون بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد وأعاننا وأعانكم الله على الأسبوع.